Oh, here we are, Michael Bryant.
I'll
I
tell
was
you,
just texting you to say,
it is
heck,
the,
we're about to go. Here we
it is the
are.
most complicated, simple case I've ever heard in my life. Uh, you know,
I was on, I know you were busy earlier, and when they took their morning break, I went on to answer a lot of the questions. I have, and we have a clip to play, and we have a lot of starred questions since then, because I don't know about you, but my comment kept being burden shifting, burden shifting. Defense didn't prove to you. Defense didn't prove to you. Defense didn't prove to you. I mean, if
yeah,
we put
yeah.
that
No,
into AI, we could get a song.
it's just so desperate because the case is weak, and what else do they have to play with? If Pauly P had stuck to his original premise, which is, if you believe there is a real gun, it's game over. If you believe it's a real gun, it's game over. But the problem is, they don't have a gun. They don't have any projectiles. They don't have any evidence of a real gun. And then they have this weird logic that suggests that Relly would have followed after the defendant, knowing it was a real gun, thinking it was a real gun, thinking he had been shot at with a real gun. That makes no sense to me. Why would he do that?
It makes no sense to me either. I'm really going to go after somebody who's shooting me with, and he says he knows guns, with a semi-automatic, 44 Glock or whatever it was. Was it 44? Yeah, they were saying it was a 44 Glock, right? And really, Relly is in some of the videos shooting a prop gun. I mean, because they all shared, there's this whole group, and you probably that's the prop gun. But
Yeah,
I do.
Pauly P is trying to make it sound like this is a major Hollywood production. These different videos, they're not. They're shoestring. They're just fly by night. These aren't Rihanna videos. All right.
Who's
Um,
in the courtroom, by the way, with the
yes,
two
I hear
children?
that baby. Shut that damn baby up. I'm sorry. Do
Oh,
you think?
stop.
Do you think in any other courtroom, if it wasn't Rihanna's baby, that there wouldn't have been a bailiff go over and say, you think it might be better if you take the little one outside? No doubt in my mind, but not for Riri.
Yeah,
Anyway, I
yeah. Well,
digress.
I mean, look, you have a right to have your family in the courtroom. I've had
I'm
my,
just
I have
I'm just
always
making a
recommend.
point.
Yeah,
If it
I
ain't
have
Riri's
always, and
baby,
I'm
they're kicking
objecting
that
to your
baby
point.
out.
I have always had the family in the courtroom, all the cases.
Babies?
I think it's very, very helpful.
You have
At one
babies in
point,
there?
well, it was like a 4-year-old,
No,
3-year-old.
it's not a
Yeah,
baby. It's not a
that's not a
baby.
baby.
No, it's not a baby. No,
Your
no.
idea of babies. Hers
Baby
aren't.
would be like 2 or
Hers aren't.
younger.
Hers aren't like, hers are. Our viewers know how old they are, and one of them is definitely older than 2.
Well, that wouldn't be the one that was goo-gooing, gagaing, and making baby sounds. So let me hit a couple of my points that I'm
Okay.
making notes of as we continued through this. And I give Pauly P as much credit as I can give a prosecutor with a horrible case. I think he's measured. He got condescending and cynical and sarcastic at times, but I don't have
Oh
a
yeah.
problem
Oh
with
yeah.
that.
He did.
I
He
don't
did.
have,
He
I
did
don't have
do
a problem
that.
with that because I can come off that way too. I don't have a problem with that. But when you run out of good facts after about the first 10 minutes, then you're soft shoeing. Now you're dancing. Now
Well,
it's song and dance time.
we were looping. We teach in Harvard trial advocacy that you have to, in your last, when when your witness answers a question, and then it's good for you, you loop that answer into your next question. There was a lot of what we call looping.
And if you just tuned in the second half, especially after that break, and I was able to come in and out, so I did see you doing a fine job juggling some questions. And I think from that second half, you'd think, I'm sorry, is this the defense case? Because I'm not quite sure, because everything they're hitting on suggests that here's what the defense should have done, will tell you, wasn't able to prove, and as you suggest, burden shifting. It's just so obvious, because if I'm trying to prove there's a real gun, I've given this jury that simple job. That's all you have to do, jury members. Just believe there's a real gun. And now here's my overwhelming evidence. We have the gun. We have ballistics. We have the projectiles. We have a chain of custody of the gun. We have it in the hand of the defendant. Oh, wait, I don't have any of that. I got none of that. So what do I got? Well, what do I have? I have a request of you, jury members, to just fill in a few holes. Just a few holes here that puts a real gun in the hands of the defendant here. That's all you have to do. It's a very simple case. So one of the things he pointed out, which I thought was interesting, was the reference to Relly and his reaction to a gun being pulled. Okay.
Okay.
And allegedly, Relly knows it's a prop gun. That's the original premise here. Well, tell me if this isn't reasonable. Relly knows that at times he has carried a prop gun, right? But on
Right.
that particular night, maybe he is, maybe he isn't. So is his initial reaction to feel like he's being attacked unreasonable, and then realizing it's a prop gun because guess what? Nothing got hit. There's no ricochet off a building, and he says, "Oh, this is a prop gun." That's why he then follows these guys. So even if his initial thought was this could be a gun, because I'm unclear whether he always has the prop gun or occasionally he has a prop gun. Well, now the gun goes off and there's no evidence it's a real gun. That's why he's going to follow after the defendant and the rest of the boys. You don't do that if you think it's a real gun. You just don't.
Yeah. Now, we have pulled that. I don't know if you had time to pull in your assets. It's in your
I got
folder.
something here. I
You
got something.
There was a lot of questions this morning about where did Relly's talk about self-defense, because that's the other issue that was brought up. Remember the judge? When we left the judge yesterday, as the world turns, when we left the court yesterday, the judge had ordered the cameras to be turned off as he started his jury charges. But the cameras weren't as quick as the judge. And so the cameras caught the judge saying, "Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I am going to charge you about self-defense. And you're going to hear, and I'm going to tell you why." Cameras off. So we know there is a self-defense charge, and we know the judge charged them why. So it was a number of questions. Where was it in the tape, or was it in the tape that Relly mentioned self-defense? So we have that clip because
we do. I believe I have it here. Let's see if I have it.
Let's play it. Out my living space. Call me, tell me stop ducking him. He played that. That's called premeditated, bro. You feel what I'm saying? He didn't give me a chance. He didn't tell me I'm gonna come to a gun battle. I came to link him to see what the fuck the status was about. He pulls out. He tries to chest bump me. He tries to chest bump me and then pull out a gun for self-defense. He's a pussy boy.
He tried to chest bump me and pulled out a gun for self-defense.
Yeah, which of course is a little nonsensical, but it was Relly that said it.
Right.
So
he pulled out a gun for self-defense. Okay? Yeah. I mean, that's Relly. Oh, I'm sorry. That's AI. Oh, that's not AI.
Yes.
That is Relly, because if it was AI.
I've never shot a gun. Oh, there is me. There I am shooting a gun.
Yeah. If it was AI, the prosecutor would have had an expert to say this tape is AI. So there you go. Does anyone have any issue now?
It makes it an issue. I mean, that's the key. It makes it an issue in the case, and that's why the judge is going to instruct on it. I don't know if the jury even gets that far. I really don't. I don't even know if they have to worry about it. Right. But if I'm on the defense and I'm trying to protect my client, I'm throwing it in the mix for sure. Right.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about initially, I'm not sure the defense wanted it, but when Relly gave it to you, take it,
Sure.
So we have a bunch of questions. Christopher Allen, Relly needs to be charged for extortion, perjury, disrespectful, hostile, and cursing on the stand. I don't know if those are crimes, but he certainly was disrespectful, hostile, and did curse. He was super mad because he didn't think getting 30 million would be so difficult. Remember when we had Neil Rockkind on?
Yes, the Rockweiler.
The Rockweiler. And he said that sometimes what you hear and what people say as they're waiting for that pause, and you teach this, by the way, also in negotiation, is more important. And at one point, Relly said, "I didn't think this would be so pause." All right?
Let that hang in the air, right?
And let that hang in the air. All right.
There was I'm just throwing out some comments here as we mix it in with questions, just because I just think some of them were interesting by Pauly P. He talked about at one point where there's this struggle, right, over the not so much over the gun, but just between the parties, and he suggests that Relly and Ills that one is using the other for a human shield, and he goes on to say that's human nature. Is it? I hope that if I'm ever shot at, I don't grab the nearest human and pull them in front of me.
Lisa, your wife.
Yeah. Is the dog here? Anybody I can hold in front of me to protect myself? Yeah, I think that had to kind of make jurors go, what? That's what you think is normal?
You hold one of your brothers in there,
Okay, I'm
yeah,
sorry, I interrupted. What do
no,
you got there?
no, that's good, because why did he go back and get the bullet cases? Did the police tell him within that hour that they looked and didn't find anything? No. As a matter of fact, when he went to the police station after supposedly at 11 p.m. at night, he went to a Dunkin' Donuts, right, to get the bullet cases, which apparently everyone in California knows during COVID they were closed by 11. You don't even need to bring someone in, and the defense didn't apparently plan to. And then you make certain decisions in trials, from what I understand and what I hear. But no, he didn't even know the police had already been there searching at that time, and they didn't tell him to go look for anything. He says the next day, it doesn't make any sense, because what he says is he went back, but then he says I called my lawyer, and then but the next day. And the next day, my lawyer told me to go back and look for the casings. But according to him, he'd already gone back to look for the casings. Okay, so it didn't make any sense in terms of the timing. That's how I remember it, Michael.
No, and everything Pauly P said, I would relate back to his original question, which was, all you have to believe, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, is that a real gun was used that night, not a prop gun. So much of what he said was irrelevant, based, as it related to that one specific question. It meant nothing. One of the things he asked about was the injury, and he was predicting what Joey T is going to say on his closing, which will be coming up after lunch. And he said that the defense is going to poo-poo that injury. Well, you don't know what's happening when a bullet's flying through the air. You don't know where it's going to go, what it might hit. And so, you can't totally discount that injury, although slight though it may be, that it could not have happened as a result of a gunshot wound. I guess you have to address that because it sounds so ridiculous. But yeah, I guess you have to. He also mentioned how busy this area was, right? And
Right.
we're talking about wannabe actress central. It's Hollywood, Vine, Sunset. It's where you go. You parachute in there from Iowa to become a star. So it's busy. Well, at that time of night, it was what, 10-ish? I keep forgetting, 9 or 10. So it wasn't very late.
Like 8
But
o'clock-ish. It was about 8 o'clock-ish.
He was so worried, Pauly P. We take this seriously. Don't let that minor injury detract you and distract you from, this is a serious act, because people could have been killed. Somebody could have been injured far more seriously. Well, yeah, if we had any evidence there was a projectile anywhere, I would agree.
Yeah.
But there wasn't so much as a traffic cone or a parking meter that was injured in this.
Right.
Where's that projectile going? Even if it did graze Relly's knuckles, they don't just stop. The bullet projectile will not just stop in midair and plop to the ground.
Right.
Where'd it go?
Right. Where'd it go? But you and I talked the other day, even off there, we were talking, and you were worried. You said, well, we were actually, no, we're not talking, we were talking on there. Well, what if it is a prop gun and the projectile did hit him? Could A$AP Rocky still be convicted of the crimes? And I said, it depends on the indictment. And yesterday the judge read the indictment and I said, no, the indictment is 2 counts and it has to be with an actual firearm, and all. And so we thought, wow, that's what the prosecution has to prove. The jury can't get confused here and think that he could be convicted if it was a prop gun. And he addressed it right away. Yeah, the only thing you have to find is that it's a real gun. You can't convict him unless it's a real gun.
I mean, to me, that's like, can we start deliberating now and get the hell out of here?
Right.
What I was talking about was if it were prop gun and there was some simple assault charge, then there could be a case in which you're assaulted with a fake gun because it causes the apprehension and the intent to scare somebody. But when you throw in assault with a deadly weapon, with a firearm, then obviously it has to be more than a prop.
Then it can't be a prop. Then it can't be a prop. So Motion to Scream has a question. What do we, it's you, LKB, and Michel, Michael, think, as you know, my Siri calls you Michel, think the note to Pauly P said? I don't know, because I didn't quite listen carefully enough to what he said afterwards, and I don't know if that would mean anything. I don't
either. Sometimes, sometimes those notes come along. I think it's wrong to do that, to be honest. I think, it's almost like putting him down, like,
right.
Here, don't forget this.
Right, exactly.
Say that. I just think it's bad form. But anyway,
Yeah. And you know, when we have trial time, we say, Your Honor, may I just have 1 minute, and you go
yeah,
talk to your co-counsel.
exactly,
Is there anything else that I should address before I finish my closing in the next 5 minutes? And then the judge will,
exactly.
and then you start finishing closing, and you work in whatever it was. And I had that happen all the time. I have even cross-examination. My co-counsel will say, "Okay,
Of
why don't we do
course.
this?" But they're not handing you notes in between to look like you're
No, I
like
mean,
an
to me, that's
incompetent.
real. That's it shows that you're human. Like, I think I got everything. I'm not sure. Let me check with co-counsel here, and then you pick up if you. Sometimes you walk back and say, "I'm good, Your Honor." That's it.
Yeah,
Because
right,
you've
right.
confirmed you have, but you don't have. Here's, what a jerk. So he's like, here. I'm handing you the words of wisdom. I mean, I don't know what was on the note, but it just. Unless it was something like, I got to leave to go to the bathroom for a few minutes. I mean, I don't need your note. Okay.
Right. Could we have a break now? If the jury sent a note like, hey, Your Honor,
Yes.
that you need a comfort break,
Or that lady, that one juror that's had coughing spells.
Yeah, she's had some coughing spells.
I think she's better now because I haven't heard her hacking away.
Yeah, we've heard that in
today.
a number of courtrooms because you remember the flu is really back around and flu. I guess it was B before. Now it's A. I get whichever is confused, but whatever. It's pretty bad here in New York City. I mean, the hospitals are filled with people.
So True Hebrew did not like Pauly P. So monotone, it was not convincing and became boring. I didn't know when he ended, except the judge said there was going to be a break. So I'll repeat what I said.
Can I just say something? That's what I texted you. I said, I was Missy. I said, Missy will probably laugh. I said, oh my gosh, because I was sitting on my office sofa and I was actually getting ready. I was doing a memo as I'm listening, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to go back and get ready.
Yeah, I'm glad you did. I was so far out and away, there was not a chance in hell that was going to happen. But to repeat what I said before, I think he did a fine job with what he's got to work with. And I think he's, pleasant, and I think compared to what we heard in his opening statement, he had much more vocal variety now. But, you compare him to Joe Tacopina, you compare him to Lewin. No, he's going to seem almost flatline comparatively. But I have a feeling when Lewin gets up there, whether it be late today or first thing tomorrow, he's going to just try to bully the jury. That's his approach with witnesses, with the judge, with co-counsel. I just think he's going to try and make the jury feel like you're idiots if you don't believe what I'm telling you right now.
Yeah. Before we go, I'm hoping this is for me, but Michael, your hair looks good too.
Yeah. Thanks.
Michael actually wanted to do a show on Monday, and I said I can't. I have to give him Roots. Monday's Roots Day, Michael.
Yeah, I thought Monday was hair day. That was not Monday's.
Well, Roots hair day. It's getting a haircut. I need to get a hair. Those things. Okay, so yes, this is a good start question. Okay, because I actually wrote down a number of things here too. All right, why are they focusing on ASAP Blue so much? He actually. This is why I didn't like him. He basically called him not only a liar, but he called him a criminal because if you want things taken care of, if ASAP Rocky
you call Lou, he's a fixer.
You call Lou, he's a fixer. Okay. Yeah. I think, first of all, I thought if you think Lou Levin came across well, and I think he did, calling somebody a fixer, I mean, that's almost, that sounds like Lewiness.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, he might have added that to the mix. You know that Lewin went over this and made notes and for Pauly P's closing. You think Pauly P did this without passing it by his second chair, Lewin? Of course not.
Yeah.
And the reason I think, and I'll give the prosecution credit on this, they tried to attack both Lou and Phillips because they do rely to some degree on the largesse of the defendant. Whether it's less now than it used to be, maybe he gave them a leg up in the business. Maybe they still get some of their money. I think it was Lou or Wally that said about 30% of their income is still
it was about Lou. Yeah.
from him. That's clean bias, perfectly acceptable to throw that out there. Does it override everything else? I don't think so, but that was legit and point well made.
Yeah, but calling him the fixer.
Well, that was I don't think he needed to do that.
I need somebody to dispose of this gun that was involved in this. I need you to tamper with evidence. I need you to do this. I need you to do that. I mean, come on. I mean, he didn't need to do that because his reputation has been the nice guy. Just state the facts.
Mm-hmm.
But
I agree.
I think that was over the top. As a
Let's
matter
talk
of
about
fact,
that the gun and the loot.
Lisa says it was weird how they tried to attack defenses instead
Yeah,
stated the facts.
yeah,
And it's Fitzy, along with you just what said, it's Fitzy. Interesting the prosecution didn't address
yeah.
Welly's lies.
Well,
Well,
what are
they
you going to
did.
say?
They did. They said if you've given your story 9 times, of course you're going to have
Yeah.
inconsistencies. That's what they said. That's
Well,
it.
so let's talk about the prop gun and the somewhat trail of evidence as it relates to the prop gun. If it was a prop gun, okay, we know that Lou says he gave it back to the prop master or whatever this person was who had the gun. Well, Pauly P, if you're so concerned about that gun, why weren't you looking around for it? Why weren't you talking to everybody who might have had their hands on the gun, whatever the gun was? If you think the defendant got rid of a real gun, because that's their story. Their story is that once this shooting took place, they had to ditch the real gun, right?
Right.
But there's zero evidence that they tried to do that. Zero.
Right. And the prosecution didn't investigate this case. The cops went the first time. All 7 of them did a great grid search, right? Didn't find anything. Made it very clear. And then that when Relly comes in with his cartridge casings, one of the cops said, "Well, if you're going to have a case, you got to go to the hospital. So if he flies to New York, he goes to Metropolitan. We won't hear any records. I'm sure we're going to hear about that too." Right.
Yep.
But they didn't do anything. And Tacopino made during cross comments, did you ever talk to anybody in the first time was 2 weeks ago? Of course they're not going to talk to you 2 weeks ago. You already made up your mind. You indicted the person without talking to anybody.
Yeah.
But really,
there was a note, it looks like LTO, UX, etc. Mr. Wolf, known for solving problems. Remember Mr. Wolf? I think he was known more as the cleaner. Because he had certain other issues. He was from Pulp Fiction, remember?
Yes.
Harvey Keitel's character in Pulp Fiction. When you got a mess to clean up, bring in this guy. So
bring in Mr. Wolf.
Lou was more safe than that. Not quite as not going to clean up a mess. Maybe he'll go pick up something for Rocky, but I don't think it goes further than that.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. So after lunch, let's look ahead a little bit. After lunch, which the judge is doing, cutting short their lunch, which is good. I probably should have cut it short to about an hour for lunch, but I guess it's hard to get it in and bring them up to another jury room or if they're going to eat in that jury, it's just hard. It's hard to get all that done, and also you have to deal with other. The judge is dealing with other issues when he goes to lunch on cases and all. He's not just sitting in his chambers eating lunch. But in any event, Mr. Tacopino will go. Let's see. We have 3:15 to. Well, they're going to go. What?
They're going to start at what is 1:15 for them. So
they
if he goes
end at 5.
3 to 4 hours. Well, they've
6.
been ending at 4, but I guaranteed to get him in, they're not going to chop him off. If he's within 30 minutes, I'm sure they're going to go.
Well, my understanding is he's at least going to go 3 hours. That's a talk around the courthouse, apparently.
And that puts you at 4:15.
Yeah, and likely maybe even 4. That puts you at 5:15. But that's quite frankly, that a court, they should allow him to go the afternoon, whatever it is, and then. I'm sure John Lewin will be sleeping tonight, not thinking about this case at all.
Oh, no,
right?
Of course. And then he'll do, I'm hoping they bring it back at 9 tomorrow, and then he gets done by
9:30. He said 9:30
tomorrow.
He told me 9:30 tomorrow.
So he could get done by lunchtime.
Possibly.
2.5 hours.
I think that's what the judge was saying. Because the judge said you'll have this case tomorrow.
Yes.
Hopefully right after lunch. But no matter what, you'll have it tomorrow. That's what the judge says. So the judge, not sure, but I think at some point he may tell Lewin to wrap it up.
I think he might give him some nudge if it or at least ask for a signpost. Where are you? How much more do you have? Because to have a lunch break and come back for more Lewin. I mean, I think that violates the 8th Amendment against cruel and unusual punishment. Right.
Okay, so we need somebody here to keep account. All right, and you know what I'm going to say. All right.
Objections?
Oh, yes.
So what do you think the over-under? What do you think the over-under is going to be?
Well, when we did the openings, I remember you said that Lewin.
I said 3, I think.
I thought it was 2, and Bob Bianchi said 3 to 4, and I said 10.
Yeah.
And I was right on target.
Yeah, I think it was 11 before the judge said something.
Right.
Because my thought was not that he would stop at 3, but that the judge would step in, and he never did until 11.
Right. So now we're going to have, let's assume it's a 4-hour closing. Let's assume it's a 3 by hour, right?
Oh my God.
All right. We know that it's not going to be Pauly P. He's going to be doing the objection. It's going to be John Lewin. Can we have a bet? Well, not really a bet because we can't bet, but let's. Why don't we have a pool? Well, we can give a mug to the one who's the person who's closest. I think we're going to have 17.
I've been wrestling with that because the judge has certainly added the 1074 sanction issue, which the tote board is still rolling up numbers. I think if Lewin is going to try to save some money, he's already told these guys, you can object, state the grounds. I will say overruled or sustained, and I don't want to hear another word. We're not coming to the bench. We're not having a discussion in open court. I think I have two things here. I'll go with 12 objections, over under 12, but I think there will be 2 in which he's sanctioned.
That's interesting. Unless the judge said, because you didn't hear any objections from Joe Tacopina, right? Unless the judge said, save your objections to after, which judges will do. I will hear them after, and we'll put them, I'll put them into the record, in chambers or whatever. And that's the way it's going to be. I mean, that's a possibility.
But he made it clear that it's okay to object during the argument. Just state the grounds. I will rule, and that's the end of it. So he didn't suggest make a note, and we'll talk about it after. He made it sound like it's on the fly. It's going to happen.
Right. Yeah. All right. So I have an over and under 17. You have an over and under 12.
Of 12.
Let's see what our viewers
I have a parlay. I have a parlay side bet. 2 sanctions. Yeah.
True Hebrew, the prosecutor who spoke today, was so monotone that he was not convincing and became bored. I didn't know when he ended, except for the judge said there was a break. Do you think he did a good close? My view is I was bored. I was bored. I thought he was looping. I was bored. I think he started very strongly to say, this is what you have to find. Here's why it is. And then I would have sat down. And quite frankly, if they were jockeying for positions as to who was going to go last today, by taking the whole morning of closing, now your partner is going to go tomorrow. Maybe that's what they want. But I think by Tacopino ending today, the jury's going to go home and sleep on what Tacopino says.
No doubt.
Sure. And not on what the prosecutor said. Sure. So why
it'll
are they
be a wake-up call with Lewin.
Okay, why are they focusing on ASAP Blue so much?
Yeah, we talked about that one. I think there's one here we haven't gotten to, though.
Yeah.
Let me see.
There's a lot of questions, a lot of comments here going on, right?
Yeah, it seems to me the prosecution knows this is a shakedown extortion case. They're just going so hard because ASAP Rocky is a celeb. If he wasn't, this case would have flopped a long time ago. Some might say it's flopped already.
By the way, Missy Mayhem, let's see, I may have the wrong one. They're going to co-parent. What is it? Law Nerd Amber, 13. We can share custody of the mug. All right. There was one objection to the state's evidence. I thought I heard it early on, but I didn't hear the sound.
I did. It was overruled, and it was overruled. Right? It was a misstates the evidence objection, which is common. That's a common one in closing arguments.
And we had some sound going in and out, by the way, in the beginning. So I don't know if anybody missed any. Remember, because at the beginning,
that was the only one
that was going in and out.
That one I heard clearly, and I heard the judge overrule, and not a beat missed really.
Yeah, Oasis Cat has 18 objections. Somebody's going to have to keep a scoreboard here. Yeah. Someone's going to have to keep a scoreboard here. I'm at 17. But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, he looked, I don't know, John Lewin looked a little bit tired today. Any reason for that, Michael Bryant?
I can't imagine. I think he's probably just, in his own mind going through his arguments and picking up bits and pieces that maybe he thinks Pauly P didn't handle properly, that he'll circle back. And no, I don't think he's tired. No.
Well, there was an article that came out in the Inquirer we talked about that was pretty damning. I mean, lawyers.
It's a mess there. Yeah.
Yeah. Right now in the middle of a trial. So it was a mess. So I know we posted a link to it. It's interesting to read. And I know that we have asked LADA's office for some comments and some questions because we saw the hear about this being extortion. I am of the view that tape, especially once Relly says that tape of him asking for the $30 million, to get a bag and having a lawyer do it because or else it'd be extortion, or he needed a lawyer in the mix because he was doing it on the side to the friends, right?
And Pauly P was trying to make a point out of course, he wants to be, reimbursed and compensated for his injury. And, does anybody look at a $30 million claim and say, yeah, that's about what I would expect for scraped knuckles? And even if it was an intentional firing, yeah, that's what I would think.
No one's.
He sure tried to minimize it. Like, of course, it's no big deal.
Yeah, not a big deal. Yeah, and you always make a tape about it. See, he didn't address the tape. He didn't address the wording on the tape. All right, and that's what's the killer. The killer to me is the word. Killer to me is two things. And Bob Bianchi said, and Neil Rocket also said the same thing. Once he says that tape is AI, try to disown it. Case over. End over.
Yeah, we talked about that. And is there anything that could possibly be done in the way of additional witnesses to help? Raise that. The teeter-totter example I give, it pounded into the ground when he was caught with that lie. And maybe they got it a little bit off the ground with their subsequent witnesses and cross-examination, but not enough to win the day, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. And the prosecutor really didn't address that tape, because the tape, extortion, I need a lawyer to get the bag, and then I will be away. I'll go on an island. You won't be able to find me. You won't be able to find me. The prosecution can't really prove the case if they don't have a victim. All right. So I'm looking at the comments. People watching our chat didn't like him, right? Really didn't like him at all. So that's what I'm seeing. I mean, anybody there, you could be safe. Anyone there who liked him, anyone here's watching who thought he made a wonderful, wonderful point. Boy, if we were bookies, we're getting a lot of action.
I know.
I'll say 18. Darling Nikki said she wouldn't give really $30 for the scraped knuckles.
$30. I thought the state was ridiculous to think people just voluntarily speak to the police. He acted like police are not super suspicious of everyone. That was Melissa Hamilton. Yeah, and who first? I think you have to be approached. And I think the evidence suggests that they weren't even approached until, oh, hey, wait, we got a trial coming up. Maybe we should talk to some of these people.
Right. And they had already, as one person said, why should I want to talk to them now? They had already indicted him.
Well, yeah.
They didn't have an open mind.
It was an afterthought.
Right. It was an afterthought because we're going to trial, Didn't have an open mind, Oh, I love this motion to screen what WTF granted. Says he's got 55 is the over or under. I love it.
55. Where's that? Put that one up. I don't see that one.
Okay, hold on a second. I'll go see if I go right there. Right there, you go. 55. Right. 55.
Well, I'm going to take the under on that one. I just think that might be safe. Let me make a comment in general about the length of these closings. I'm sorry. This is a relatively simple case. And with all due respect to the attorneys involved, including Joey T and everybody else, this is insane to have 9 to 10 hours of closing arguments for a case like this. And that's what the cumulative number is going to be. That's ridiculous. Sorry, it is. Somebody's going to be, we've seen the prosecution beating the dead horse. We'll see what Mr. Tacopina does. But that's way too long. I think,
and I don't know this, okay? And I have no sourcing on this. I couldn't get it. I think he's going to probably play a lot of what Relly said, and then if I were, this is what I would do. And then here's what he said.
That's helpful. And we talked about that from the very beginning, and just to keep pounding away. That'll give you, but not 4 hours. I mean, come on.
Well,
come on. And he does have, no doubt, he has a lot to work with because we've seen it unfold in this trial. Every hole the prosecution left open, he can fill it in with, here's what you didn't see. Here's what you didn't see. Here's what the person lied about. Here's the truth. I get that. I just think you're going to lose the jury at some point. You're going to lose them.
Yeah, you may, or they may like him. They may like seeing him,
Well, we know some of our people want to see him. We know that.
Look at our chat, and it's Miss Shorty's group from down under. They'll watch him all day.
And now I've noticed that his son is being drawn into this bizarre fantasy of the Tacopina family. What was that with his son?
Nothing. He's got a Twitter account and he's retweeting us.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay.
X account. I should say X, but the problem is if you say reposting us, no one knows where that is.
Yeah, I think you default to X because You know what?
X would
Instagram,
retweet.
blah. Facebook,
Well,
blah.
I don't know.
It's all X.
You know, I'm retweeting on X is what I like to say. That way everyone knows.
Well, you'll get over that eventually.
Well, I got over Twitter most of the times, but it comes back because I have Twitter still how I list my X account as my Twitter account. You know.
Hey, did Elon
I never
name
understood
his
Twitter anyhow. Tweet.
Yeah. Did Elon name his son Tweet? No, he did not.
Well, but he named his son
X.
Blah 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 blah. But just on his X, blah 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 blah. I don't even know how to pronounce the rest.
I remember I was covering the OJ case in Las Vegas, whenever that was, 08, and Twitter was just a thing. Just like, what is this? What is this? And you know, it became obviously what it is now. But at the time, it was more almost professional. Like the
Yes.
journalist would be using it to share information. The court officials would be using it to share information. And you know, what are we? 18
Well,
years
the first
later.
time I used it was on a client, and it was extremely helpful in getting them to come to their knees and settle. And I wasn't sure how to use it either, because I remember the first time I really paid attention to it is when we had a plane land in the Hudson here, Captain Sullenberger.
Yeah, Captain Sully.
And all of a sudden everybody said, go to Twitter. And I think for at least this area, that's when everyone started, and the news media said, hey, wait a second, you can get a lot of information. And then the second time it really took off is when we killed Osama bin Laden, and there was somebody from the town where he was killed. It was the first time saying, hey, wait a second, we've got helicopters flying here low and stuff like that. And that was an indication to journalists, because as you said, journalists were on it, that something was going to happen that night. And then everybody after that, it just took off. I mean, it took off. And now it's kind of, it's not as that professional thing. It's more.
Oh God, no, it's the wild. It's fine. I'm okay with that. It's free speech. You know, you got to sift and kind of move around and you know, see where the crap is and where the real stuff is. But I'm all right with that. I put this message up from Brooklyn as we jump back and forth between stuff, because it's very important that Rocky's kids are in court today. Do they understand what's happening? Well, I'll tell you. They have 2-year-old Rizza, RZA. He won't be 3 till, he's almost my same birthday. He won't be 3 till May. And then Riot is 9 months old.
Oh, I thought
you
he
got
was
you got two, a toddler and really, you know, an infant, 9 months old. So yeah, that's again back to my original point. If it's not Riri, excuse me, can you maybe you want to take the young ones out?
Well, maybe the state shouldn't have used her name in vain. They put up a picture of her in their opening that they didn't even mention until.
Didn't mention her in closing, just
right.
Her celebrity.
Lewin mentions to somebody whether or not she could take away the career of 12E if she wanted to, she and her husband, for no reason, suggesting that she's going to do something. She's a self-made woman. She really has done this, her makeup line, her clothing line. She's a self-made woman. Yeah. So accuse a self-made woman of committing a crime in advance before you even know it. I thought that was outrageous. And quite frankly, because of that, if she wants to bring her 9-month-old child and his child and her 3-year-old child and his child in the court, good for you. Next time, keep her name out of your darn mouths, Mr.
Okay. So aside from the show that creates, is it good? You know, the 9-month-old is not going to have a clue what's going on, but the 2-year-old's going to be like, Daddy, hi, Daddy. I mean, it's a weird place to bring young kids, especially when it's serious charges against your dad. So I think I would have said, yes, we want to be there, supportive, but this is too much. And I would have gone, of course, and left the kiddies out.
Okay. So,
when I'm charged with assault with a deadly weapon, keep that in mind.
Everybody is a criminal. Everybody is a criminal, but the prosecution, who is putting person on who wants to get a bag of $30 million. But all the rest of you are criminals. Okay? I mean, I don't know whether this incident happened or not. All I know is the prosecution didn't prove it. And I'm not resting my vote in that jury room on somebody with that tape who lied to the jury as much as he did over 3 days.
Yeah.
I've
said, when you get to the end of a case and you say, what the hell happened? That's an acquittal. You know? That there's no other answer. I don't know what happened. Maybe something did, maybe something didn't. I have no clue. So, Mr. Prosecutor, you'll lose.
Yeah. And you know, and I posted about this. This case has an interesting history. Not the case, but you know, there was, as we know, there was an election in November, and the previous DA lost. That was
Which case you're talking
Gascoigne.
about?
Gascoigne. No, just talking about the LADA's office. Gascoigne
Oh.
lost the election, right?
Oh, Gascon. Yes.
Gascoigne. I mean, I Gascoigne. You say Gascon. I
He is
say
Gascon now.
He is definitely Gascon. Right?
Yeah.
He loses the election, and I don't even know what political persuasions these people are. I don't pay attention to California DA's elections generally.
Yeah. Well, he was Democrat and Hawkins Republican. So
okay,
yeah.
Hochman comes in. He beats him. There was an issue with the Menendez brothers, as we all know, whether they should get resentenced. And you know, there were two DAs in the office who thought that who were in charge of this, that they should be resentenced, that they're not going to be a danger to society after all these years, blah 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 blah. And then Hochman comes in. He says, "Look, I want to just stop. I want to learn. I want to get people in. I want to listen to everybody, including the family of the victims. Right? I want to before I make a decision." And that's been put off. But apparently, John Lewin was part of a group of a dozen prosecutors who sued Gascon for retaliation against them for not going forward with. He wanted to be one of these forward-thinking prosecutors or something like that. And then he said he retaliated against me by putting me in charge of like the calendar division, which I had been in major crimes, cold case for 2 decades and more and all, and that was retaliation. Hochman comes in, and Lewin then gets out of that, and he gets put back into some other position and all. And he actually supported Hochman. He went on Fox News. There's a Fox News clip. I couldn't believe it when I was Googling the articles on it. I think it even linked to it. One of the articles linked to it, I even think. I'm not sure. Can't remember. And then all of a sudden he gets assigned this case. I don't know when that was, but this case had been in the office, right?
He didn't get it till January.
So January,
in
this high-profile case, and so whether or not he asked for it, whether or not it was, and I asked the DA's office. We asked the DA's office on the Justice Serve TV, could they comment? Was this as a result of his skill, or was this political payback?
And I just can't wait to see where he goes next, because that will be an indication. Has Hochman rescued him from DA hell if Gascon was instrumental in sending him there?
And there's one more blip. The two prosecutors who were suggesting that the Menendez brothers should be Gascon have now alleged they're going to sue the office and John Lewin for retaliation against them, because now they've been reassigned to some dipshit type positions, they believe. Okay, so there's that other little glitch that I didn't even mention.
Yeah, talk about politics. I mean, it's totally getting in the way of these folks doing their job. Drama.
It's drama, and it's not here comes drama. Here comes drama here, because not it's here comes. Here is drama. Okay, and all. So, what other questions do you have for us on the closings? They got about 15 more minutes. I know I like you all to get some lunch. If you're on the East Coast, get ready, take a restroom break so that you could be ready to listen to the closing argument, which I assume that there'll be a break in the middle of Joe Tacopino's
I would think so too. What do you think of the Pauly P's discussion of Relly as being this mastermind? Facetiously, of course. He's saying he's so smart that when he was at the gun range in October before this incident took place, he decided to collect a few shell casings because he had this whole plan that was going to unfold, and he knew he would need those when he, I guess, tricked Rocky into shooting at him with a gun. What do you think about the sarcasm that he used in laying out kind of an unbelievable story and attributing it to Relly to kind of get around all the lies Relly talked about?
Well, when you're at the gun range, you just pick up some of these shell casings, you haven't taken them home. That's all. It's not like you're planning it in the future. But once there's something going on, or you say, well, hey, maybe I can. And
why
maybe
would you need those shell casings for any reason?
People pick up shell casings. I've seen shell
They
casings.
do. I've been to gun ranges a lot. I've never seen anybody do anything except you have to clean up your area, and they'll sweep them up and throw them in the trash. I've never seen that.
Well, they pick up. I've seen people. I know people who pick up shell casings.
I got people.
No, I mean, who knows? Who knows why you're picking? You're going to demonstrate. You're going to show it. You're going to say, I don't want this. I'm going to take it back. This one didn't work. This one, let me give my money back. Who knows what they're doing? Maybe they're putting in the video. And their props in a video. I mean, he had a prop gun one time, so maybe you put him props in video. Who knows? But all you needed to do was have a couple shell casings. Not that you're planning it, 2 months beforehand. That's what you're going to do. You know, but that's if you're meeting him and this happens, hey, I know how to get. And he said in advance to somebody that he was going to get money from him. He was going to take him down in some way, if I recall. I don't remember the exact words, but he said that in advance.
It's understandable and clear that he feels, Rocky has left him in the dirt, right, in terms of his career and maybe,
Right.
and he's no longer the friend that he used to be.
Right.
That's all very understandable. The real question for this jury is how far would he go to get even with or somehow get back at what he sees now, his former friend? Would he do this? Would he claim this happened to get money from him as a screw you, thanks for leaving me behind?
Yeah. My impression of Relly.
Yes, well, I'm not asking you. I'm asking it kind of rhetorically,
okay.
and maybe for the jury to think about. Yes.
Micah said, by the way, the kids adore their father, and he adores them. And Rihanna said so too. Rihanna's very,
I have
very.
no doubt about it. I'm just not sure I'm taking my kids to see Daddy potentially go to prison.
Hey, I'm taking my kid to show he's a family man. Why is he going to risk? Why is he going to risk all of what he had?
I understand the theater.
And also remember, he said that Relly was jealous of all Rocky had. What Rocky has a family. Rocky has Riri. Whatever the relationship is. I mean,
yeah. Oh, there's no doubt.